Welcome back to the Quarantine Diaries. We're here again with Martha, live from the frog over her garage or her house.
Yeah.
In her
Furnished
house.
room above the garage.
Right, that's what the G stands for. And she is currently in now what is their game room.
Yeah.
So if she wants to bust out some ping pong while she's talking to me, she totally can. Totally be scattered. So we wrapped up with How Was Your Soul? Now we're going to transition back into a little bit more, dipping the toes in the water and happier thoughts. What so far has been your favorite part of this quarantine season?
It has given me a lot of time to reach out to people,
Mm.
which I'm glad for, because I'm already very scatterbrained, and like during school I'll just be like running around like doing everything, and then like I will reach out to people, but I've been able to reach out to more people that like I haven't seen in a while, that like aren't part of my like weekly or even monthly routine, like people who might just be like friends from high school that I haven't seen since high school, or just people that like I care about but don't see a lot. I've been able to reach out more to them, which I'm glad for.
It's perfect. Do you have a favorite memory from quarantine so far?
There's actually been a lot. On my birthday, it was in April, so I was a quarantine birthday. My friends, they texted me and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna have a parking lot party for you." So they had that all planned, and then I showed up, and it's just kind of it looked funny. There was just like a singular lawn chair in the parking lot that was empty, and like the cars were around, and they had like a little cake set right in front of the lawn chair. And there's just pictures of me like sitting in the lawn chair with like and nothing in the background, just like a completely empty parking lot. And it was so fun, and like it was just simple, and it was sweet.
Yeah, no, that is fantastic on every level. So now we'll go to the depressing side of the conversation. What has been your least favorite part of this quarantine season so far?
I just miss being like around people. Kind of like I said before, just like not having like things to do just kind of makes your mind, it just like it's like overwhelming in a way, if that makes sense. Like it's overwhelming, but it's not, just so you have nothing else to think about or do, so you just, I don't know, you kind of just get bored, so you can
Your brain gets tired of the stillness, especially when you're used to going. So with that, what is like, so outside of the obvious stuff, what do you think has been the most challenging aspect of this that you weren't expecting?
The most challenging aspect is wanting to see people when I shouldn't.
Well, that's true. But what about like the side of things that you weren't expecting that would be hard? Because I mean, there's the stuff that we knew would be hard of the not seeing people. But like, what about the side of things that maybe going into it you didn't think was going to be challenging, but it's turned out harder than you thought it would be?
I hadn't thought about that before. Oh. Um, I've I've been online shopping a lot.
Like more than you should be?
Yes.
When you say shopping, are you actually buying things?
Yes, like I've been buying clothes and like face care, like face care stuff. And I don't, so like I'll spend money on clothes and stuff and like things I need, but these are definitely like extra clothes and like face care things that I don't necessarily need. It's just like, oh, I I want some of this. And so that's my problem.
Well, you do retail therapy. Is retail therapy a normal coping mechanism?
No.
Okay.
Actually, I take it back. That was a lie. Yes.
That's good. So the first 2 weeks of quarantine, precious Ellie, um, like she wanted to do every house project known to man because we just moved into our townhome.
Uh-huh.
And so we had like Amazon box after Amazon box after Amazon box coming to us of stuff that either needed to get assembled or needed to get hung up. And then we realized we didn't have the tools to actually hang things. And so we had to go order a drill off Home Depot. And it was just one of those things where I just sat back and went, huh, okay, so she wants to nest right now. I think it coincided because we moved into a new place, but then also with the season, I went, okay, I just was not expecting that to be a thing. Okay. So her retail therapy was for the house, and not for clothes. It was just surprising. It's not well, I was just like, we don't need to order anything right now. We got what we got. We're going to be in here for a while. Yeah. So everybody has their own poison, of retail therapy.
My retail therapy, like before, was like, it's really dangerous living downtown because there's just shops and shops and shops.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if I had like a bad day in a class or something, or like, even if it was a good thing, like if I got like an A or B on a test, I'm like, I'm gonna go get a shirt from Forever 21. I deserve that. And like it was like $10, so it's like it wasn't like a ton of, it wasn't that much.
Yeah.
But on like online shopping is a different story. You see like 8 shirts you like, and you're like, I'm gonna order them all, and if they don't work, I'll just return them. But in reality, who returns online clothes? Nobody does. Like it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah. So now we'll go down the rabbit hole a little bit more of when this is lifted fully in some form or fashion, and the new normal is fully created, what is the thing you want to do the most first? Outside of like maybe giving somebody a hug or something like that, like what is the thing maybe you want to do, you want to see right off the bat?
Trying to think. Well, I had a trip to California planned, and for May, to go see one of my friends because she lives in California. So honestly, I would want to like go see her, maybe in the summer or just whenever I can, and just like let her show me around her place because she loves California and like where she lives.
In California?
SoCal.
That's the best place. Okay.
Yeah. I always want to say San Diego, and I know that's not right. So I always am like, and I'm like, no, SoCal.
Well, I mean, San Diego is SoCal, but
Yeah. But it's not San Diego. She like lives an hour out, like not an hour out, but she's like an outskirts of LA.
Okay. Yep. So that would be a good major thing to do this summer when this is all lifted. Get on a plane. What a novel concept, and fly across the country. What a brilliant idea. Okay. So what is like if you could go to any one restaurant and just sit in there without worry right now, what is that restaurant in Charleston or Charleston area that you want to go to and just dine in with a group of people without having to worry about anything?
Santy's.
I do want some good Mexican food. That is true. Okay. So now we think about all this stuff. So I'll use an example of myself. I will call it a bad habit. I had a bad habit prior COVID, that usually was when I was sitting in my car, driving from point A to point B. I would sit at a stoplight and I would start biting my fingernails. It is something that I've wanted to kick for 32 years. Just never did. I haven't bit my fingernails once in 3 months since all this COVID stuff started. So what is like a bad habit maybe that having the time and or the change of life that COVID has helped you kick or break? Or on the flip side, what is like a good habit that you've started while on quarantine?
So I'm in the same boat as you. I bite my nails so bad, like really bad. And at the beginning of like quarantine stuff, I stopped biting them. I was like, there's nothing else for me to do. Might as well be able to paint my nails and act in another activity. So I was doing really well. And then I fell.
Mm.
They were long. And then one day I think, you know how when you like, I don't know if this is like, this is a weird thing, but like do you know what I mean? Like when you're like trying to stop biting your nails, you'll have like one finger that you like will nibble on, like you'll pick at. And I had that, and then I was just like one day I was like, you know what? I don't care anymore. And I just started picking at all of them, and it just
You
I
fell off
haven't
the
been,
wagon.
I haven't been in the wreck.
Yep, you fell off the wagon. It's okay. You can get back on the wagon. You fell off the wagon. So that conversation naturally leads to this question, which is what is one thing in this season that you've learned about yourself?
Um, I feel like I've kind of always known this, but and being in quarantine just kind of like reiterated it. But like, I don't anger very easy. So like, even being around family, you know how sometimes if you get around family for too long, you can get like irritated or like not lash out, but
Oh no, I don't know anything like that at all. If my family is watching this, I never get irritated or lash out at my family, Martha. I don't know
no,
what you're talking about.
maybe not lash out, but sometimes like,
I was being sarcastic because my
oh,
wife
oh,
probably watched this, and so my parents, no parents, I never get mad or lash out at my family or my brother, or anything along those lines. That doesn't happen at all.
I was, I was like, well, maybe I'm in my own boat with
Our
that
family is perfect, don't you know? There's no stressors whatsoever.
one. So, I just like I haven't, I don't know. I just don't like, I get angry easy, I guess. And
Mhm.
I'll just kind of like go along with it, and it's fine. Like, there's a difference between like getting angry and irritated. You can get like a little irritated and be like, okay,
Mhm.
take a breather,
Yep.
and then we'll go back down.
Mhm. Um, yep. No, that's good. What about now on this side of things? What is something you've learned about God or your relationship with God in this season?
um, Again, like I've always known this, but like reiterating it like so heavily during quarantine that like the things that I may have like clung to like in everyday life, like with school, um like friends and like schoolwork, that those aren't like my studies.
Hmm.
Um Even if I have like great friends, which I do, that God's always going to be the one that's there no matter what's going on. Um and like cling to him and cling to what he says and not to believe anything else that may like bring me down, but that like I'm very loved by God, and in the end that should be all that matters.
Mm. It's good. It's good. Um, so you are a part of Generation Z. As I've been walking through and talking to our high schoolers, a lot of them have mentioned the idea of slowing down, especially our Mount Pleasant high schoolers are so busy going from point A to point B to point C that this is giving them a chance to either choose what's important to them or even just create some space in their life. There have been researchers that have started dubbing this the Great Pause is what this will be called. And so the Great Pause of 2020. So my question for you, you're a few years ahead of some of our high schoolers that we've talked to.
Mm-hmm.
As you think through and forecast, so let's go 5 years from now, so the year's 2025, you're hopefully graduated from college. Who knows what comes next for you in the middle of that life as you're fully a full 20 something in the midst of the
Right.
unknown. What is like 5 years from now as you think back on the great pause in this season? Like, what do you think you'll remember? What do you think will stick with Generation Z from this? Because for a while, some friends and I were talking about us millennials were super defined by 9/11 and everything that happened around 9/11. It was some of our first formative memories because we were like, depending on the person, anywhere from like 8 to 15, depending on when 9/11 hit in your life. So it was like one of those first major things that you fully started to understand the consequences for. So some of Gen Z is older than that, but I still feel like this is going to be something that defines Gen Z for a long, long time. So
Mhm.
5 years from now, how do you think you all will look back on the great pause in this season?
Um, at least for me, I think not having the rush of everyday life and like being able to see people and just having to do everything and have a routine. Um, I feel like the main thing that'll stick out to me is like being able to about like myself and like how how to like love myself
Mm,
uh, because like I don't know in everyday life it's like how you don't think about that all the time. It's like so kind to try, well like learning how to love and like be very content in myself and like I think is something that well it's going to stick with me for a long time just because I've been able to like sit and like pray about it and like um and I feel like that might go for everyone. It could or it could be like you've learned a lot like more about yourself and you want to like maybe like not learn love but kind of accept love for yourself.
mhm.
um I don't know.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. 'Cause I feel like it's a vogue phrase these days, self-care. So it's super in. But when I was in high school and even in college for the most part, I didn't think about self-care. Like
Mhm.
self-care wasn't something I thought about as a 15, 20-year-old up until I got into my mid-20s and started realizing, oh, I should really like pay attention to what I need, what I want,
Mhm.
how to care for myself, how God cares for me, etc. So I do think you're right. Like self-care like it's something that you all are starting to realize at an earlier age than I got to realize. So that's good. So even with that, so this is well, before we go to that question, how do you think this will change or affect your like technological habits or digital life? Considering Gen Z was already the most connected and digitized of any generation, even more so than us millennials, because we still had to adapt to it for the most part, but you haven't really known a world without wireless screens. How do you think this will change or affect your guys' understanding of tech and digital world? Will it become even more so, less so? What do you think?
um I don't know because I mean we're already so like big on technology and it's like I mean you're right I haven't I mean I've always been surrounded by like iPhones and iPads even and if I didn't get a phone until I was in eighth grade but I even so like there were phones even if they were like the little slide phones like
Mm-hmm.
my brother had one when he was in eighth grade and like I don't know it's we've always been surrounded by it so but part of me wants to think that after being in quarantine for so long, with like one of the only things for you to do is being watching TV or like being on your phone, is that, and I kind of feel like I've already seen this a little bit. People are, or people just like want to go around and do things that aren't in the house, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, like they could have. I mean, everyone's gonna have a cell phone on them for the most part, but even then, it's like I feel like people are trying to like get out and do more things because they realize that like obviously the phones and the TVs aren't really like doing it for them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I like after being in quarantine, people are gonna go out and do more things and like travel, and that's just probably like a side effect of being in quarantine in one place for so long. But
I think you're right. I think there's going to be, especially with your guys and gals generation and age, a deeper appreciation for stuff that was taken for granted.
mm-hmm.
Um, and even maybe understanding that as great as tech is, you can't substitute a face-to-face interaction for even 20 digital interactions. Like there's just something still powerful about the face-to-face. And then the stuff that was taken for granted, like traveling or going out and seeing and appreciating nature where you could do it all the time. We're like, oh, we should really appreciate this more. Which then leads to my next and final question for you. And so this is future casting. So let's say 5 years from now, you come back from wherever you are as a world-renowned journalist, and you're hanging out with Ellie and R in our living room, and up saunters to you a little tiny 3 or 4-year-old, a little Ellie or a little Jonathan. How would you explain to our kid one day what this season of life was like? Like, how will you explain to people who didn't live through this what this season of life was like, who didn't see it, didn't experience it? Because hopefully it's all gone by the time that Ellie and I have like a toddler or a 4-year-old. So how would you explain this season of life to somebody who didn't grow up with it, who didn't see it, didn't experience it?
To a little a child.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would start off by being like, well, there's this point in time where we people weren't able to go out and see each other because there was a cold that was hurting a lot of people. Um, and so people were scared of this cold, so they stayed inside and until they were told to come out. They had to stay inside. Yeah, that's how I would explain to a child.
Perfect. That's perfect. So with that, before we sign off, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you feel like somebody watching this should hear or they should know, especially when we think about our high schoolers and our middle schoolers? Is there anything that you think that you should leave to impart them with before we log off for good?
Um, I have two things, one serious and then one fun fact. Fun thing. Quarantine can be hard, but you know that if you ever need anyone to talk to, you can always reach out to me or Jonathan or literally anyone else, an adult. I'm not an adult. I just said that because
Or an adult, Martha.
I don't feel like one.
But you are.
Yes. I'm a college adult, so there's a difference. And yeah, so if quarantine can be hard, like it's hard for a lot of people, know that there's always someone to reach out to and you're not alone. And then my fun fact is, well, this is a game, but a fun game if you ever get bored. It's called Mount Rushmore. My friend made it, and you have a category for each round. So if I was like, okay, give me your Mount Rushmore of cheese, and you would say your top 4 cheeses, and then you just go around in a circle. It's very simple. Everyone can play. So you go around and you just say your top 4 cheeses, and if nobody agrees, if your platter of cheeses is the least favorite, you're booted off.
Wow, that's harsh. Okay.
But you don't even have to play with like booting out. You can just like go in a circle and just keep doing new categories. But like, so like round 2, you could do like favorite restaurants in Charleston, and then just go around and do it. And you can do the boot off version, but you don't have to. So yeah.
Okay. Rushmore game. I appreciate that. We may be finding that. We may be finding that at some point on a Wednesday or a Sunday night potentially. On the Mount Rushmore game. Well, Martha, here's an air high five for you. Thank you so much for joining us. With that, say goodbye, Martha.
Bye.
And thank you for joining us for the Quarantine Diaries. Bye, guys.